Question. But let me just focus on the next story, then we'll add up with that particular story as well, because they tie in as far as SMEs is concerned. And the Chinese government has downplayed concerns about a possible trade war between Kenya and China after Kenya banned tilapia imports from China starting January next year. The Chinese government had threatened to cut funding to phase 2B of the standard gauge railway project in retaliation. Let's just listen into that particular story briefly.
The government's bid to expand the SGR project from Naivasha to Malaba may be derailed by the beef between Kenya and China over the free zone fish imports from China. A letter by Susan Imende, the PS Fisheries, Aquaculture and the Blue Economy to 16 companies, most of whom are Chinese affiliated or owned, informs them that starting the 1st of January 2019, all tilapia imports, whole or fillets, will not be approved in the country, causing panic among the affected companies. But China has threatened to impose trade sanctions in response. The row may have been set off by these remarks by President Uhuru Kenyatta that were also a directive to officials to find ways to stem the flow of imports at the expense of local producers.
Think out of the box. Tunaweza kusema hiyo samaki ambayo imefika ni mbaya. Right? Na unaifungia.
Mathira MP Rigathi Gachagua has drafted amendments to the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015, seeking to ensure that local business people enjoy the 30% access to business opportunities in their own backyards.
It's not that we are discriminative, no. It's only that the Chinese people have come with a very big component, and in the process they have taken the entire construction industry. They have gone ahead to take up retail trade. They have gone ahead to bring all supplies from China, and to add insult to injury, they have also brought so many workers with skills that are available here in this country.
The Chinese government believes the move is an unfair assessment of their investment in the country. In a recent meeting with the various stakeholders at the Chinese embassy, the acting ambassador Li Zhuhang hinted that China may rethink funding for the SGR.
They cannot be everywhere in this country because simply we owe them. And they also must respect that we shall pay this money. It's not a grant. It's not a favor. It's not a gift. This is money we are borrowing, we shall pay with interest at the appropriate time.
The Chinese embassy is keeping up hope that the row will be resolved and the imports will resume, diffusing concern that it could escalate into an all-out trade war. On more than one occasion, the president has stated that Kenya is free to attract and do business with whomever is interested in doing business with this country. But with the influx and dominance of Chinese investors in the country, some members of parliament are insisting that sometimes buy and build Kenya is important for Kenyan investors to grow. Leila Mohammed, NTV, Nairobi.
Right, we want also to hear from our panelists in regard to that particular story. And China being here in the country, a lot of SMEs also are being affected, because the reason behind Mr. Rigathi's proposal to amend the Public Procurement and Disposal Act is the fact that very little amount of money, or a tidy sum of money, so to speak, that can be afforded by the SMEs. These contracts are being given mostly to the Chinese as well, and that is affecting business. So he wants also a cap. Anything below $1 billion should not fly with the Chinese. Let's hear from Colin Sodote.
Dibala, I want to just make three maybe interrelated points, but let me start with the China one. We seem to believe that this problem is China's creation, and I think we are wrong. I think as a country we must take responsibility for our financial decisions. Every country, and I think we've said this in this show sometimes back, every country that enters into international trade relations or a bilateral one does so for its own benefit. Because there's no free lunch. Everybody's asking for what is good for us. I think to the extent that the complaints we have against some of the things China is doing, we should hold ourselves accountable. We must look in the mirror and say, what could we have done differently? Could we have negotiated better terms? Because even without the cap, for example, the MP is talking about another cap, Gabriel. Anything anything above 1 billion,
yes,
below 1 billion should go to Kenyans. What stops us from doing so, even without the cap? a lot of the contracts at the local level of small amounts of money, including for his CDF. What stops you from giving it to locals? I think we must take responsibility for some of our actions. That's statement number one. Statement number two relates to the concerns that some of the viewers raised concerning that how can we be improving the ease of doing business when SMEs are collapsing. I think we must recognize that if you look at the ease of doing business, what it is measuring is processes. It is measuring processes and it's measuring the legal framework. If you look at, for example, one of the indicators is the ease of getting credit. And Kenya has improved on getting credit. We are, I think, at number 8 on it. It does not mean that more SMEs got credit last year. What it is saying is that, and the report says as much, that the law on the legal framework governing unified access to credit was reformed. So it's looking at the reform in the law, not in terms of how much credit was gotten. So we shouldn't complain about the ease of doing business. That is not reflecting the reality. We should realize the ease of doing business is not measuring the reality that we're complaining about. And we must address that reality. And the reality is that SMEs are suffering. They are suffering because of certain challenges in the economy. And those challenges in the economy must be addressed, even at the same time as we celebrate the changes that has happened. And it takes me to the last point. The last point is, I think the ease of doing business is measuring also progress that has actually really taken place in this country. Let me give you just one example, Deban, that the ease of doing business is registered. For a very long time, we complained about registering a company in Sharia House.
Yes.
It was madness to go to Sharia House. The file has disappeared. The file became a moving target. Now you don't have to go to Sharia House to register any company. From the comfort of your house, you just go online and fill the application. And you will get the certificate online and printed. I think that is huge progress that we must be able to celebrate.
Thank you.
But that doesn't mean that there aren't challenges in the operations of business.
Right.
Thanks.
Dr. Gituro, also this will mark as your closing remarks as well.
Okay. I probably want to make two different observations. And I think it's good to protect the local economy, but must provide me quality goods. And my mind goes straight. If you go to this town, Nairobi, there are a lot of Chinese areas you can go and have eat. Juguna has never complained. You know Jugunas?
Jugunas, yes.
Koseves has never complained. Because Koseves gives you the best fish you can get in town. And I think that's what we are telling our business people. As much as we want to protect, are we providing quality goods?
Yes.
And I think what we find and I think it's more important, and those who are economists here, we are addressing it from the supply side.
Yes.
Because as a consumer, I'm looking value for my money. And I go for somebody who provides good quality and value for money. The other point which perhaps you raised earlier on, and I want to make it clear, Debar,
yes,
was this Horabaru happening particularly with the members of parliament from Central Kenya.
Yes.
If you look today at the reallocation formula from the CRA,
yes,
45% goes to the population. Is the highest. 45%. 26% go to the equal share. The least is development, which is 1%. Indeed, CRA had suggested 60 for population. The members of parliament came to 40-something.
Thank you.
So I just want to make that clarification. The formula currently takes, and the population is the highest.
Thank you. I think that will be another debate for another day. Thank you also. Let's hear from Gabriel Negatu. Your final closing remarks.
I want to react to this thing about China, Kenya, and this container of tilapia coming from China to Kenya. First, let me say, look, Kenya-China relations is much bigger, much deeper than some tilapia coming in, and despite what the ambassador says,
it's not careful about tilapias.
It's not going to be affected by the importation of things. I think these two countries have a much deeper, much broader, much more robust relationship, and it's not going to be wrecked by this. But there is a message in what the president said at Strathmore. The way I read it was he was expressing his frustration that we in Kenya are importing fish from China while we have one of the longest coast, one of the richest coast, and we are not able to catch the fish, can it, produce it, and eat it in this country. Or as China does, put up fish farms and do it in Kenya. Why are we importing fish from China? And it's not only China, it could be Mauritius, it could be South Africa, it doesn't matter.
Thank you.
Why are we importing fish when we have such a rich coast? And I thought the president's frustration was a message to Kenyan businesses, you know, you need to be competitive. You need to be able to do this yourself.
Thank you.
Instead of importing it. So he wasn't pointing to China.
Thank you.
So let's not lose track of that.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's leave it at that.
Okay.
Gabriel Nagato, I know you have a lot to say, but we'll stop for time. Thank you for your contribution this morning. Gabriel